this. In the process of knowing, you may disturb, as modern physics is finding out, the very process of observation creates some change in what we are observing. That is true. But the whole approach is to find out what is objective, minimizing the subjective as much as possible. In art, it is just the other way around. So what we are going to talk is the art of living and not the science of living. What we can make out of this life which is in front of us. In the series that we had last time, I ended by saying that 21st century can come even now if we work for it. Changing from one century to another century depends on how we live. This time we are going to discuss the methodology, how we can bring it about. What is the method? And as I pointed out last time, this method is important because if we ignore it, we are heading for a catastrophe. Not merely the nuclear catastrophe, but even all the societies are on the verge of destruction by their own method of living. Slowly we are forgetting the art of living. We have emphasized the scientific aspect. We had this art. Manu again and again says that it is the man who is supreme. Mahabharata says it is the king, that is a conscious being, which molds society, a state, environment, and not the other way around. But we went through a scientific revolution. We started giving more importance to what is than what we can make out of it. And that is how we have practically lost this art. One of the greatest contributions have been in the fields of economics, sociology and psychology, because they concerned us. All these discoveries started with an assumption that subject cannot do anything. We have to find out objectively. Freud came and did this very thing in the field of psychology. We are prisoners of what we have experienced in our childhood, in our adolescent life, and that controls our reactions. Man was made more or less a toy in the hands of Mother Nature. Marx did the same thing in terms of society. It is the economics which controls the man and society, it is not the individual. Darwin in his own way tried to bring out the same idea. That man is entirely different from all other animal worlds. That was not emphasized. The similarity was emphasized. I am not saying for a moment that we are not to some extent limited by our psychological experiences. I am not saying that we are not controlled to a certain extent by the economic conditions, by the social conditions. All this is true. But truer still is the fact that man can mold within limits, external as well as the internal nature. When we lost this art or are in the process of losing this art, science cannot guide us towards what? What do we want to make out of it? That is something which only the art can give us the power. Last 300 years, science has been emphasizing the objective reality. Slowly, as in the Middle Ages, the objective reality was lost sight of. We mainly depended on the subjective element all over the world. Even in India, there was a period when scientific discoveries were practically nil. After Brahmagupta, 8th and 9th centuries, there was a dull period in Indian history. In European history, we all know about the Middle Ages. The same thing was true of the Arabic history, the Chinese history. So there was a lack of balance. Slowly the revolt came. The science took the lead, as it should have. But then now the thing has entirely changed. Now the science has taken the lead and we are losing the art of living. This disharmony has to be removed. The present predicament that the humanity is going through has to be taken care of, and science must bear the burden of having brought society to this extent. Living will always go on. It has always been there and it will always be there. Whether we have the art of living or not, it is not that if there is art, the living will go on. Even the animal world, even the plant world is living. It is only the human being which has the power to control it and to make it into an art. In absence of that art, slowly the growth of living is like a forest. There is very little difference, scientifically speaking, between a garden, a cultivated garden, and a forest. The process of growth is absolutely identical. It is not that a mango tree or an ashoka tree or a peepal tree in forest grows differently than if we put it in a garden. There is no difference as far as the science aspect is concerned. But merely the knowledge of science of botany, science of agriculture, will not give you the power to create a garden. You have to have the art of gardening within you. In absence of that, you can grow any number of trees, but it will not be a garden. We are living more or less like a forest.